Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating idea, almost like political physics, how one massive political force can literally create its own equal and opposite reaction. So, the analysis we're exploring today asks this very question. It puts forward the idea that sometimes a political figure isn't just shaped by their own platform, but is actually forged in the fire of opposition, becoming the direct, inverse image of the rival they're up against. So, how does this actually play out? Well, to get a handle on it, the material we're looking at introduces a hypothetical figure at the very center of this idea, a guy named Zohran Mamdani. Now, it's super important to get this straight. Zohran Mamdani isn't a real person. He's a thought experiment, you know? He's designed to be the perfect embodiment of everything Donald Trump stands against. He is, by his very definition, Trump's political mirror image. And this is where you can really see just how stark that opposition is. I mean, it's not just a slight difference of opinion. It's a completely different worldview, from social policy and foreign relations right down to the role of government itself. Where Trump wants a smaller state, Mamdani is proposing things like price-controlled stores and free public transit. They are, in every sense, polar opposites. So the natural question is, right, how on earth could a politician with ideas this radical even show up in mainstream American politics? Well, this analysis argues that the answer really starts with Donald Trump completely changing the rules of the game. You know, for years, his opponents tried to counter him with traditional, polite politics. They were hoping his aggressive style would be a major weakness. But instead, that style became his brand. It didn't sink him, it actually defined him. And for a lot of people, it worked. And this slide just illustrates that shift perfectly. While Democrats were still leaning on traditional celebrity endorsements, actors and singers, Trump was busy building a totally new kind of base with online influencers. He also just dominated the conversation with this aggressive style that made a lot of classic politicians seem, well, kind of slow and out of touch. Okay, so let's get to the absolute core of the argument here and see how this all connects. The idea is that a figure like Mamdani doesn't just pop up out of thin air. No, he's a direct product of the very environment that Trump created. You can see it laid out here like a simple, powerful chain reaction. First, by constantly breaking political norms, Trump made radical talk feel, well, normal. That desensitized the public, which in turn made people way more open to hearing unconventional ideas from any side. And this is the crucial point. Think about it. If Trump could claim he'd end the war in Ukraine in a single day and it didn't really hurt his credibility with his base, then why would Mamdani's radical idea for price-controlled grocery stores hurt his? The Overton window, that's the range of what's considered acceptable in politics, has been blown wide open. But here's the twist. This new environment he created, it actually presents a pretty unique challenge back to him. So how exactly does a figure like Mamdani, who was born from this landscape, actually become a threat to Trump? A huge factor here is the power of what's called the negative vote. See, because Mamdani is positioned as Trump's polar opposite, he becomes a natural magnet for anyone whose main motivation is just to vote against Trump. Movements like No King, for example, can easily rally around a candidate who represents the total opposite of their target. And strategically, Mamdani has some serious advantages. First off, he fights fire with fire, right? He uses that same aggressive style, which kind of neutralizes Trump's big advantage. Second, as the new guy on the scene, he has less to lose, so he can be way more reckless. And finally, operating out of New York, that gives him a massive power base right in the heart of American finance and media. Okay, so for the final part, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. What does the emergence of a Mamdani-like figure signal for the future of politics and populism itself? The key takeaway here isn't just about one candidate versus another. No, it's about a potential shift in the very nature of American politics. We might be heading toward a battle between two opposing populist fronts, both of them equally radical, equally confrontational, one from the right and now maybe one from the left. And so, the analysis leaves us with this final, really provocative question. Is this clash of unconventional styles, this battle between two extremes that were born from the exact same political moment, is this the new normal for American politics? That is definitely something to think about.